Alison Waits here, and today we'll be talking about all things bonds, part three. Hopefully, you can see me. It's gone black again for me, but anyway, I've got MBN coming tomorrow, so I'm very excited. And so straight into it today. The last few days have been quite long, purely because there's been a lot to talk about. But as of today onwards, for the rest of the month, we'll just be breaking it down into those little things. So, like I said, today is about bonds. So everybody would know the bond is 4 weeks of your rent that has to be paid. It can be paid by installments, but it's quite difficult to get an agreement with your landlord and agent to do that. Otherwise, it's 4 weeks bond that is paid when you sign up your lease. So as long as it's paid either before, we can't force you to pay before, but as long as it's done and into the bond online or into the rental trust account of the agency, or in the landlord's bank account at lease sign up, all good to go. So it's 4 weeks. They can't legally ask you for more than 4 weeks. You can have less than 4 weeks, but it's quite rare. I have seen, oh God, in the last 10 years, I've probably seen about five that have been 2 to 3 weeks. So it is quite rare for that. So bonds are usually, as you know, are held just in case there's damages, rent arrears, and all that kind of thing where you can claim it. So we'll get straight into it because there's quite a bit to talk about and trying to leave it about 5 to 6 minutes because everybody's wanting to cook dinner, obviously, this time of night. Okay, so as you know, I will post everything as the comments. I'm also going to add the link for Bond Start. So a lot of our tenants I have dealt with over the last 10 years, they've done a Bond Start claim where they actually get support for the 4 weeks bond and sometimes the 2 weeks rent in advance. So they can get up to 6 weeks. So I won't go too much into that, but I will send you in the comments just the link for that. If you're earning up to a certain amount of income, if you're on Centrelink or get some kind of support from Centrelink, even a married couple, single parent pension, whatever it might be, you could be able to get support with that. And it's fantastic. I've never had any issues with the Bond Start. All you have to do is give all the evidence over, just like we talked about yesterday when it comes to our applications. So it is a great idea, and you do pay that back out of your Centrelink over, I think, 1 year, sometimes a bit less, depending on how much that you want to pay back. So also when it comes to bonds, you can get a tenancy guarantee. It's not associated with the Bond Start. But do ask me and I can give you the link for that as well. Usually it's North Coast Community Housing. They used to do it, Community Housing prior to that, Department of Housing prior to that. So it just means it's another $1,500 bond guarantee on top of your 4 weeks rent bonds. And they do tell you how much you can rent up to. You give that document to the agent or the private landlord, and they keep that. And then if you're approved, that's accepted, and you just keep that on record. It's just another little support that that landlords have to give maybe a young teenage couple their first go in a rental. So okay, so let's get into it here. So the bond is money you have to pay at the start of the tenancy, like I've just said, and it's not as a guarantee. Your landlord or agent can only ask for one bond per tenancy. New South Wales, we can't do pet bonds. Queensland, I think you probably can. I don't do Queensland, but I have heard of that happening. New South Wales, you don't ask for an animal bond. It's purely just the 4 weeks, and it's not 4 weeks per tenant either. So if you're in a private residential tenancy and they do ask you for 4 weeks per person, it can't happen. So that's easy for that one. Also, rental bonds online, like we discussed last night, it's fantastic to use that. If landlords and agents don't offer you that kind of way of paying your bonds, there are quite hefty fines because all the agencies and private landlords have to be registered with fair trading bonds and bonds online too, because legally it came in probably about 3 or so years ago. It was for about 2 years prior to that where you didn't have to. It was like PEXA with a sale. They knew there was a cut-off time, and then you had to do bonds online. It's fantastic. I swear by it. It just means as soon as a tenant pays that bonds, we get that email and an SMS straight away to say that they've paid the 4 weeks bond, and that just means it's ready to go. Okay, so I'm also going to say if when you do that and then you sign your lease, we can't actually go into bonds online and change it to a completed tenancy until you've signed your lease. In case you do a tenant does pull out, they get that 4 weeks bond back, and they get back straight away. So that just means as soon as it's been lodged by the agent or the landlord, there are time slots to do that. So with a private landlord, they have 10 days to either send the bond, that's the bond tenancy form, and the check to Fair Trading, or because that's just the easiest way. So if you don't do bonds online, you have to get the tenants to sign a bond form, which I can give you a link for that as well, in case you don't want to do bonds online. And the owners, landlords, they have 10 days to submit that with a check. If it's an agency like ourselves, they have 10 days from the next month. And if not, and they do find out, it is a $2,200 fine for the agent and the landlord. So it's really wise that you do process the bonds correctly. I do have private tenants contacting me probably about 4 or 5 a year. So it's a few. And they're saying, I never got a receipt for the bonds. I didn't get anything from bonds online or Fair Trading. You will get something in writing. You'll either get a letter, you'll get an email or an SMS, pending if it's bonds online, or pending if they've done it with just a paper based. If you don't get that, do call Bonds, Fair Trading. I've got that number if you do need it. And then also, well, I can give it to you now, 133-220. That's for Fair Trading. Give them a call, talk to them about the bonds, because you want to make sure that they have lodged it correctly, because it's quite illegal if they don't. So yeah, $2,200 fine. It just means that, you'll get some clarification that you did get that, some confirmation. So 4 weeks, pretty quick. That's easy. Everybody talks about that. We do know about it. Do ask many questions. Claiming. Okay, so this is a big one. There's always been a lot of issues with some landlords and agents and tenants, and do get phone calls all the time. And one particularly the other day, a tenant was asked to do some cleaning. There was a disagreement. They wanted more than what was actually on the ingoing report. So the tenants, they were told to claim the bonds. So whoever claims it first without permission from the other party has 14 days to apply for tribunal, and that puts a hold on the bond release. So, for example, you have a tenant and you have a landlord, and the tenant, doesn't get along with the property manager, or the property manager is taking too long to process the outgoing, and the tenant then calls Bonds Online or Bonds Fair Trading and puts a claim on it. The agent will get an email straight away and say the tenants have put a claim for the full bond. If we want to dispute that, we have 14 days to apply for tribunal, which is usually around $55, $56 to apply. And then they'll put a stop on it. So we have to give a copy to Bonds Online to state that we've put a claim on the bonds. Other way rounds, because you do find some landlords and property managers will put a claim on the bond without tenants' permission. It does happen a lot if the tenants and the agents disagree. So what that is, if say for example I've done it, I'll put a claim on the bonds. I'll go on Bonds Online. I'll do it straight away, because I'm not hearing back from the tenant. They didn't want to come to the outgoing, or they're disputing it. I then put a claim on whatever bond that I want. The tenants then have 14 days to apply for tribunal and to put that bonds on hold. And so what that just means is we have to go to tribunal. So no one gets the bond unless we both then agree to it, which can happen. You don't have to go to tribunal. Say the tenants go, well, I only want you to have $300 instead. We can both communicate that, tell Bonds Online or Fair Trading Bonds, and then they will change it. Happy days, all done. But if we, as agents, want to do a claim on the bond without the tenant's permission, we have 7 days to give a copy of the full outgoing report to the tenants. Also, all the invoices, quotes, and receipts of all the work that's been done. If there's a vacate water, rent arrears, all that, we have to give that to the tenant within 7 days. Otherwise, when we go to tribunal, we'll probably lose. Like I said the other day, if you go to tribunal, which we'll discuss, on another day this month, they are really strict. They do listen to and they do abide by fair trading legislation. So it's pretty black and white, isn't it? Cool. So what else is there? Oh, well, that's easy. Claims. Do give me a call or a message if you have an issue with claims and you want to actually dispute the landlord, or the landlord's disputing the tenant, because we do help privately tenants and landlords. What they can claim. Okay, so there's a lot of tenants out there they get told by their agent that they can't use the bond for the break lease fee, they can't use the bond for cleaning, repairs, pest spray, carpet cleaning. They can't use it for anything else, damages, rent arrears, whatever it is. Yeah, they can. That's easy because it does state here. Let me get to the right one. Easy. Yeah, so it says here that they can actually rent or other charges, unpaid water usage bills, break lease fee that they're owing. And if the tenants did not give all the keys back, you can use it for that. Any damages that did not leave the property in reasonable clean condition compared to the original condition report, apart from wear and tear. So you can use it for rent. You can use it for other charges because Fair Trading fact sheet states it. So if you do have an agent that is telling you that you can't give me a call because I'm happy enough to send them a copy of the agreement, with Fair Trading, and to help you guys out. If you're a private landlord, you know my number is 0487 289 471. Like I said, we do support for private landlords at just a small cost. So yeah, like I said, you have to be 4 weeks bonds. That's paid before you sign the lease. It gets processed when you do sign the lease. Make sure tenants that you do get some confirmation from Fair Trading to state that they have lodged your bond. Private residential with a landlord, it's 10 days from lease sign. For an agency, it's 10 days after the following month. That is purely if it's a paper-based. If it's Fair Trading bonds online, it's instantly done, which means as soon as you do a claim, we get notification straight away. You could potentially get your money back the same day if there's an agreement. So how easy is that? All right, like I said, we were the guinea pigs of bonds online. Absolutely love it. Here to promote it and to promote our agency, obviously. Have a great night. Tomorrow, God, I can't even tell you what that's about. It's probably rent arrears or something like that. So have a great night and talk soon. See ya.